Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There's a wonderful little article that I'm going to go through with you. I'll have to be off screen, I'll have to read through part of it because it's a bit complex. I'm recording on my phone, so I haven't got the editing ability. But it's showing one of the worst polling results for the SNP through this election, and it's indicating that Stephen Flynn will most definitely lose his seat. It's not surprising, given where he is the constituent MSP for. Obviously, it's showing that Labour are going to do very well, but it's also showing that the SNP are going to be losing seats to both the Lib Dems and the Conservatives. And despite their pledge of, say, vote for us, get rid of the Conservatives out of Scotland, it's likely to be the other way round. And of course, this is actually before you consider tactical voting that even now Douglas Ross is calling for. And if the other leaders sort of go in, even if it's unofficial and just on a nod and a wink, we could speculate the very, very end of the SNP in Westminster. That would be a great shame, or not. It also indicates that either way, you'll no longer have Stephen Flynn being preferential in terms of the questions he gets to ask. At the moment, he gets a question every week at PMQs as the leader of the second biggest party. So even if he manages somehow magically to keep his seat, he won't even get that because the Lib Dems will be the second biggest party, or second biggest opposition party, as it were. So he won't even get to ask those questions. He'll become a nobody, a shiny dome in the background, assuming, of course, he's still there. But this new opinion poll says that Labour will obviously coast to a clear victory, and it will leave the SNP with just 7 seats. Unbelievable. With even the Tories in Scotland making a big surge despite getting shoveled south of the border. This is from Redfield and Wilton, this poll. It shows Labour are 23 points ahead across the whole of the UK, giving them obviously this massive lead in terms of forming the next UK government. But this is done on a nationwide poll. But on the percentage poll for the Scotland, the Scottish area, it is really, really grim reading for the SNP. Of the 1,080 Scottish voters, so in and within itself a sizable poll, a realistic poll, it says 29 said they'd vote Labour and 23% said the Nats. 18 will stick with the Tories. And a further 6 are planning to vote for reform. And the Lib Dems are on 4%, the Greens on 2%. When you see that the Greens and Alba, for example, for the Nationalists, are going to be standing in a lot of the seats that the SNP already stand in, you'll see that they'll split that SNP vote. That will allow the other parties in much easier. And that's where they expect the likes of the Tories and the Lib Dems to squeeze the seats further. Also, the northeast, Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire, the Great Aberdeenshire area, everything relies upon oil. And with the Greens and the SNP both being directly opposed to oil, and Labour themselves come out saying they're unwilling to fund further oil exploration, it seems that nobody is going to be voting for those particular parties because, you know, they're not stupid. They want their jobs to stay. They want their kids' futures assured. So again, the Tories are likely to do well in the north east, and of course, it's going to cause more problems for the SNP. And of course, who's a northeast MSP or MP at the moment? Sorry, Stephen Flynn. He'll desperately, of course, try to become an MSP. The don't knows excluded. The seat predictor from electoral calculus, taking this one into consideration, predicts that these results will see Labour surge back to pole position in Scotland with 31 MPs, ahead of the Scots Tories with 14. The Tories pushing the SNP into third with just 7, and the Lib Dems up one to 5. So the Lib Dems and the SNP vying. Now, as I say, is before tactical voting. Bit of tactical voting. SNP will be moved into 4th, or possibly not even there at all. Not just last, but 9th. I don't suppose that would upset far too many people either. It would, of course, be a personal humiliation for Swinney, a much more personal humiliation for Flinny, because he is desperate to become the next party leader, and if he has a showing as bad as that, it kind of ruins his chances somewhat. Even with his own party, he'd be seen as a bit of a loser. And who does it leave? What talent will be left that can possibly run the party? Flynn will become a busted flush before he even starts. Swinny will be gone. The only person left that's got any coherence would be Kate Forbes. But as we've discovered recently, she's not as bright as we thought. She may still remain a little bit sane, but I'm not entirely sure she'll remain within the SNP, given the things she said and the actions she's taken. She might be requested to leave or may jump ship. And the way she's talking, possibly even to the Tories, it's very weird and up in the air with Kate Flynn at the Kate Flynn, haha, therein lies a tale. Kate Forbes at the moment. Her coming out and saying, oh, it's the right time for elections, after also saying that she sees a bright future for Scotland within the Union. These are not the sounds you make if you're a staunch, independence-minded MSP. Or am I missing something? I think she's gaslighting. Anyway, in a total and utter humiliation, it says here, Mr. Swinny, the survey suggests the cohort of SNP seats will fall to the Tories, including Westminster leader Stephen Flynn in Aberdeen South. And under this scenario, the Conservatives would also gain Perth and Kinrossshire from Pete Wishart. Now, for Pete Wishart to lose his seat to anybody would be bad enough for Pete Wishart, but to lose it to the Tories, what a way to go. Angus and Perth, Perthshire Glens, Argyll, Bute, South Lochaber, Carrick and Cumnock, Ayrshire, Central, Murray West, Nairn and Strathspey and Renfrewshire East would also form part of the new blue wall north of the border. So you've got Hadrian's Wall, you've got the Antonine Wall, and now you've got the blue wall, which I believe is the biggest wall in the world. Sorry about that. This would give them 14 seats. The Tories, 14 seats in Scotland. Unbelievable. The Lib Dems will also pick up all their strongholds in mid-Dumbartonshire, Fife North East and Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross. Elsewhere, a massive 30 Scottish constituencies are on the course to change hand from SNP to Labour in a move that nobody is surprised at. Glasgow will go. Glasgow will be Labour through and through. And that is just... If that happens, then that is the final end of the SNP as any kind of political force in Scotland. It's the end of John Swinny, and there's no one with the talent at all to replace him that would be acceptable to the old guard. The old guard will have to admit that they are well and utterly screwed. So well done. It's up to you now. Up to you good voters to vote tactically. Get them all out. Skittle them out for none. And then watch them all cry. And without all that money coming in, watch them go bankrupt. Get your popcorn in, folks. Friday, the 5th of July. Going to be wonderful entertainment. Thanks for listening. Bye.